He came back wrong. The accident happened at the old bend on Highway 9, where the guardrail gave out years ago and never got fixed. Jacob remembered that night like a blur soaked in oil and blood. One moment he and Ryan were driving home from a late-night trip to the lake, music low, windows fogged. The next, the road vanished under the tires and the car flipped into a ravine. Jacob was lucky, a few scratches, a fractured wrist. Ryan wasn't. At least that's what they told him. Ryan died on impact, the paramedic said. Neck snapped instantly, a clean death. The funeral happened fast. Closed casket. Jacob didn't even get to see him one last time. He spent the next 3 days spiraling, barely eating, barely sleeping. Everything reminded him of Ryan. His scent still clung to the couch. His guitar was still leaned against the wall, out of tune like always. The silence in the house was heavier than grief. It felt like absence had a shape. Then came the knock. Jacob opened the door and dropped his coffee mug. It was Ryan. Same face, same jacket, same lazy smirk. "Dude," he said, "you look like you've seen a ghost." Jacob stumbled back. "What the? How? You died." Ryan laughed. "They must have messed up. I woke up in the woods, crawled back to town. You wouldn't believe the things I saw out there. Thought I was hallucinating." Jacob didn't know what to say. He hugged him tight, half sobbing, half laughing. He's back. He's okay. That's all that mattered. Or at least that's what Jacob wanted to believe. At first, everything was almost normal. They gamed. They watched old movies. But something was off. Ryan didn't remember small things. His passwords, his favorite soda, the nickname his ex used to call him. He'd stare at the microwave when it beeped like he didn't understand what it was. Once, Jacob caught him standing in front of a mirror in the hallway, smiling wide and whispering his own name over and over like he was trying it on. And then there were the nights. Jacob would hear things, wet sounds in the kitchen, breathing in the hallway. Once he woke up to find Ryan just sitting at the edge of his bed watching him. "What are you doing?" Jacob asked, groggy and creeped out. Ryan smiled too wide. "Making sure you're still you." That was the beginning of the unraveling. Jacob started digging. He went to the police, the hospital, even the coroner's office. He begged them for records. They showed him the report. The body was confirmed. They had dental records. The coroner described the internal damage. There was no way anyone survived that crash. So who the hell was in his house? One night, Jacob set up an old camcorder in the living room. He told Ryan he was going to bed early, but stayed up, hiding behind the basement door. He watched through the gap. At 2:43 a.m., Ryan entered the living room and stood still for 37 minutes. Then he knelt and started peeling the skin off his own arms, slowly, carefully, like unwrapping a gift. Beneath it wasn't bone or muscle. It was something else. Black, slick, shimmering like oil in moonlight. The thing whispered in Ryan's voice, but distorted, like a recording that had been played too many times. "I almost have him. His belief makes me stronger." Jacob ran. He didn't sleep. He didn't go back to the house. He stayed at a motel on the other side of town. Lights on, door locked, crucifix hanging on the doorknob. And still, 3 days later, he woke up to someone knocking. Ryan stood at the door again, grinning, holding a mug of Jacob's favorite coffee. "I found you," he whispered. Jacob screamed. The next morning, no one had heard the screams. Police found the motel door wide open. No signs of struggle, no signs of Jacob. Only a single note, handwritten in something that looked like ink or blood. It read, "He believed, and so I became." And across town in the same house, a new Jacob answered the door when his friends visited. He smiled, joked, and laughed just like the real one did. But sometimes, if you looked closely at his reflection in the window, you'd see a second face grinning just beneath the surface.